right now, if you have any clients that have some issues with regard to their credit, and we need to get their credit score up, right now is the perfect time to start disputing any trade lines. And the reason for that, there's a law that's called the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which only allows the credit bureaus 30 days to investigate any disputes that occur. So they were having a hard time keeping up before this virus issue popped up. So I can imagine that they're running shorthanded, running on skeleton crews. So right now would be a good time for any of your clients that need some help on their credit for them to reach out to us, and we'll get them enrolled and get them all taken care of. Anyway, today's presentation is with regards to the down payment assistance program. And anytime I do any type of presentation, I always like to thank anybody that's listening in and participating. I know your time is valuable, and I just want to let you guys know that I do appreciate it. So according to NAR, the number one reason people put off buying a home is that they just don't have enough money for the down payment and the closing costs.
Hey, Chris, share your screen, please.
I'm sorry?
Reshare your screen, please.
Reshare? Okay. Hold on.
Chris?
I'm trying to find there it is. Okay. All right, can you see it now?
Nope.
Okay, hold on. What about now?
Nope.
Gosh, hold on. How about now?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, all right.
Okay.
Onward, Chris, onward.
Okay, upward and onward. Okay, so basically anybody that doesn't have any money for the down payment or doesn't have sufficient enough money, we're going to be to the rescue on those clients. So let me click on this and get us all caught up again. So here's our target audience with regards to these products, and it's three separate products. There's a 1% down payment conventional loan. There's another program that's a 0% down conventional loan, and then there's a 0% down FHA product. And we're going to go into a lot of detail on all three of these products. But the target audience for all three of these loan programs is people with good credit and no NSFs, and that stands for non-sufficient funds. We don't want to see any bounce checks in their bank statements. They have good income, and they pay current on their current housing, meaning they're paying current on their current rent or their housing payment. The nice thing about these programs are these are not limited to first-time home buyers, unlike the city and the county programs. I want to emphasize that. This is not a city or a county program. This is a particular underwriter that we located out of California that basically the way that they do this is they jack up a little bit on the interest rate, use that money, throw it into a charitable organization that they founded, and then the charity then provides the down payment assistance. What I'm describing here in the target audience basically are the largest group of people buying right now, which is the millennials. Typically, they've got good credit. They've got good income. They just aren't savers. So these are the people that we're going to be targeting with regards to this program. So here's the 3 different programs. The first 2 are what they call within reach. The first one's an FHA product. The second one is within reach, a conventional loan product. And the third one is called the Power Purchase Program, and that's a 2% grant. All right. So here's kind of a breakdown on these programs. We've got the first one, as we go across from the top, from left over to right. In the first column there, it says AMI, which is Area Median Income. And of the 3 programs that we offer, the one that's the most relaxed and provides the largest loan amount is going to be the FHA product. And the reason that that's like that is on the FHA product, this one allows for 140% of the area median income. All right, and the area median income varies a little bit by county. And there's going to be a breakdown on another slide what that number is for Broward, for Palm Beach, and for Miami-Dade. But basically, for example, on the FHA product, the area median income, 140% of that, it's going to be in the $90,000 range. So the person on the loan can make up to around $90,000 and still qualify. The second one over, the product in the middle there, the within reach conventional, the 5% DPA down payment assistance, they can only make 80% of the area median income, which is in the low $50,000 mark. The Power Purchase Program is the same as the within reach conventional, and it's in the low $50,000 as well on that one. Now let's go down to the next column, maximum debt ratio. So on the FHA product, that product starts out at a 640 credit score to 659, and the maximum debt ratio on that, with that type of a credit score, they cap it out at 45%. However, if your borrower has a 660 score or above, they're going to go by the automated underwriting system, which on that, with our company, we can go up to 56.99%. On the other 2 programs, it's 50% on the debt ratio. And then on the next column down to on the left side, maximum loan to value. Basically, we're going to finance 100% on all 3 of these programs because we're going to basically be giving you the down payment on it. All right. The next slide describes the fee. So on the fee that we make on these programs, we basically make 2% on the deal. So for example, on the first program, the FHA product, they can get either 3%, 4%, 5%, or 6% of whatever the purchase price is going to be. But let's assume for the sake of discussion that most of your buyers are going to get the full amount, the 6%. So of that 6%, 2% of it right off of the top comes back to AMP as our fee, which leaves
Chris,
us
quick
about,
question.
Yes, sir.
Are these loans available only in Florida, or are they available in Colorado as well?
Nationwide except the state of Washington.
Thank you.
Okay, good question though. So let's assume that the majority of your clients are going to take the 6%. We're going to take 2% off the top, which is our fee, which leaves the remaining 4%. On all FHA loans, the down payment amount is 3.5%. So then that leaves another 0.5% left over that the borrower can use to go towards their closing costs or setting up of their escrow account. And on this program, they will also allow seller concessions up to 6%. So using this program, you can actually get a client into a property and they don't have to have any money of their own in the deal as long as their agent can negotiate some seller concessions to cover the setting up of the escrow and the closing costs. My rule of thumb is typically, on average, 2% for closing costs and an additional 2% to set up the escrow account. So we're looking at a total of 4%. Of that 4, there's going to be 0.5% left over, which means if you can negotiate seller concessions around 3.5%, your buyer will come to the table with absolutely no money. So this is really going to take away any excuse that people have as to why they're not buying a house. The next program over, the Within Reach Conventional, it's a 5% down payment assistance. And once again, our fee is 2%. We're going to take that right off the top. That leaves 3% left over, which is the down payment amount required on this deal. So it's going to cover the full down payment. The Power Purchase Program, it's a 2% grant that is immediately forgiven at the time of closing. So anybody that goes into that program, the day that they close, they're going to have 2% in equity. And that grant, like I mentioned, is immediately forgiven at the time of close. So on the other 2 programs, the FHA and the conventional Within Reach programs, those are down payment assistance programs, which basically means the underwriter is basically going to give them the money. So let's say on a $380-some thousand deal that the underwriter ends up giving on this FHA deal, this is just an example, ends up giving them 6% of that amount, and it ends up being somewhere around $22,000. So that $22,000 is what they call a silent second mortgage. There's no payment on it. There's no interest being charged on it. And they don't have to repay that money as long as they live in the house for 5 years and make their payments on time for 5 years. After the 61st month, the silent second mortgage is forgiven, okay? But if they do this deal and 4 years into the deal, they decide to sell the house and move, they have to pay back the full $22,000, all right? So you need to make sure that your clients are aware of the fact that they have to stay in the property for 5 years. They can't sell it, they can't refinance it, nothing like that. On the Within Reach Conventional product, it's a 3-year silent second mortgage, and that one drops off after 37 months, okay? Now, minimum credit scores, like I mentioned previously on the FHA product, it's their target is a 660, and then you can get the full amount up to 6%. However, they will go down to a 640 through 659. However, there's a couple of restrictions. They restrict the debt ratio to 45%, and the most that they can get in down payment assistance is only 5%. All right, so that would require them to come to the table with a little bit more money. On the other 2 programs, the minimum credit score is like everything else that we do on the conventional side. It's a minimum of 620. On the FHA product, they do allow for a manual underwriting. On the other 2 programs, the conventional programs, they do not. In other words, the computer system, when you guys send me a deal, we run it through Fannie or Freddie, and you guys have probably heard of the system called DU, Desktop Underwriter. That's on the Fannie Mae side. On the Freddie Mac side, it's something called LP, Loan Prospector. It's their automated underwriting system. So that computerized system has to approve the deal. If it doesn't, then the deal's turned down for this program. However, on the FHA deal, if the computer does not approve it, we can go and get a manual underwrite from an underwriter. The next column down, borrower funds. After down payment grant funds are used, the answer on that is no and no, and the reason for that is they don't need any of their own money. On the 3rd program over, the Power Purchase, it's a 3% total down payment, of which 2% is given to them in the form of a grant, which is immediately forgiven at the day of the close. So that person would have to come up with 1%, but it can be a gift. So once again, they don't have to have any of their own money in the game. The next column down on the left-hand side, can they get a gift? Yes, they can get a gift on all 3 of these programs for any money that they would be short. All right, and I can't quite read that bottom one. I think it says down payment assistance grants are allowed. Yes, yes, and yes. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so the down payment assistance the actual amount, you've got on the FHA product, you can get anywhere from 3 to 6%. Some people have the majority of the money and might be just a little short, so maybe they only need a 3% grant. And in that particular situation, of that 2% would go to us, 1% would go back to the client. And his rate is varying depending on how much down payment assistance that he has, and that's on that bottom category there. You'll notice that they do allow for seller concessions on all 3 of these programs. On the FHA, they can get up to 6. On the other 2 programs, which are the conventional programs, they can get up to 3%. The other nice thing about these programs is they give them a little bit of a break on the conventional products with regards to the mortgage insurance coverage. Normally, when somebody's putting down 3%, 5% in that area, the mortgage insurance coverage amount is at a 30% clip. On this program, it's only at a 25% clip, meaning the mortgage insurance cost per month is going to be a little bit cheaper on these programs. Borrower paid mortgage insurance, there's 2 ways that can occur. Either they can do it monthly, which is what 95% of all people do. You know, it just gets added into the monthly payment. There is a lump sum option. Most people don't mess with that. That's really nothing that you need to concern yourself with. We'll handle that on our end. Now, here's the rates on these programs, depending on the amount of assistance they're getting and their credit score with regards to the Within Reach FHA product. So if the buyer has a 660 FICO or higher, and by the way, the average credit score for somebody in the state of Florida is just under 680. All right. So in other words, your average client is going to fall into the better of these 2 categories. So if they're only getting 3% in down payment assistance, their interest rate is at 4%. If they're getting 4% in down payment assistance, the rate gets jacked up a little bit more to 4.5. If they're getting 5%, it goes to 5. If they're getting down payment assistance of 6%, then it's 5.5 on the interest rate. And if you'll notice, if their score is between 640, 659, it caps it out at down payment assistance at 5%, and that rate's at 5.5. The conventional Within Reach, with getting them the 5%, 2 of that is our fee, 3% is the actual down payment. The rate on that's at 5.5. Now, these first 2 products, the Within Reach FHA and Within Reach Conventional, I am being told by the underwriter that those have stayed the same over the last 18 months. And through all the upheaval and the volatility and the unstabilization in the market over the last 14 days, these rates have remained the same. Now, you'll see to the left, I've got in here, these were the current rates as of 3/4/20. And on these first 2 products, those rates are exactly the same. Now, the program all the way over to the right, the Power Purchase, the 2% grant, this is what those rates were as of March the 4th. Since that time, they have elevated up a little bit. So when your buyers are calling in and mention that they might need some help down payment assistance wise, on that product, that's going to fluctuate every single day. So, and for the most part, we don't want you quoting interest rates anyway, but I wanted to give this to you guys so that you would kind of be in the loop on how this thing operates and what the flow would be and what the rates would kind of be, okay? Let's go to the next slide here. They do have to attend a first-time home buyer class, even though they don't have to be first-time home buyers. This could be a subsequent property. And they can do this for free. And we recommend that they go to MGIC. MGIC is one of the biggest mortgage insurance providers in the country. And they can just go to their website, log on, take the class. I'm told it takes about 30 minutes. It doesn't cost anything. And when they finish, they can print off a certificate and away we go. The third column down, this is the information with regards to the income. And this is something that you need to be aware of because this is different than the normal city and the county programs. The city and the county programs count everybody in the household. So in other words, if you've got mom and dad buying a house and granny lives with them and she collects Social Security, and they've got a 19-year-old son that lives with them and he works at McDonald's, even though granny and the 19-year-old son won't be on the loan, won't be on the house, the city and the county programs are going to include in all four of those people in this income calculation. So if all four of them made over 96, on our program, we're just counting the people on the loan. So if it's just mom and dad and they just make, you know, $80,000, we're good to go. But let's say it's mom and dad, and between mom and dad, they make 110. Well, what we would end up doing is we would just remove one of those people off of the loan and do it in just, you know, maybe it's dad that makes the most money, but it's still under the 96,000. We would just do the deal in just his name, and mom wouldn't come into play on the deal. But if you notice, Broward's at 96,000, Miami's at 76,000, Palm Beach at 105,000. Most of the county programs that you guys might be used to are going to have the numbers over in those other two columns, you know, the 51,000 or the 64,000 number, okay? Housing history is very important on this thing. They don't want to give money away to people that have NSFs and people that haven't made their house payment on time. So in the last 12 months, they're going to verify that they've made their house payment on time. So if they're living in an apartment complex, they're going to get a verification of rent. If they're renting from Joe Schmo and he's got a house that he's renting out, they're going to want to look at their last 12 months canceled rent checks to verify that they paid them within those 30 days. And there are no exceptions to that. If the guy pays in cash, tough, he won't qualify. He's got to pay by check. Co-signers are not allowed on any of these programs, and they do allow what is known as a rent-free situation. So let me explain that to you real quick. Let's say you got little Johnny who's been away at college. He finally graduates from college and he moves back home with mom and dad, and he's living in their house for 6 months after he graduated from college while he's trying to find a job. He finally finds a job and he wants to go buy a house, but he's not paid any rent, he doesn't really have any proof of it. Well, what we would do in that situation is, you know, that whole scenario makes sense. We would verify that he graduated from college and that, you know, maybe he's got a utility bill or his car insurance bill going back to mom and dad's house, and then we would let that slide.
Hey, Chris, we have a question
yes,
here
sir.
from Doreen. Doreen, if you'd like to unmute yourself, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Guys, how are you?
Good. How are you, Doreen?
Great, thank you. Listen, quick question. What about, like, for example, I think my son does the direct pay, like Zelle payment or something to his landlord. As long as they can show that on their bank statements that it's being paid, well, is that acceptable form of rent payment?
Yes. Yes. That would work.
Perfect.
Okay.
Great
Good question, though. Yes.
On we go.
All right. The qualifying income is just the people on the loan. This is a relaxation over what the city and the counties have, so bear that in mind. This program is very much more relaxed than the city and the county programs. So here's my question. How much of a loan can my buyer get? And my response over there in the orange, that's a really good question. Well, thanks for asking. All right, so here's a couple of examples of these programs just to give you an idea of what the limitations are from a purchase sale price amount is. And I did a couple of examples on all three of the programs. So on this very first one, based on the income limit of the $51,680 that has been established for Broward and Miami, and assuming that the buyer has no other debt, at the 4.5% interest rate, which it was as of March the 4th, using the Power Purchase Program where they're getting a 2% grant and they're coming up with 1% plus whatever the closing costs are and setting up of the escrow, they could get a house at $275,000. The total down payment would be $8,250 of that 8,250, the buyer would only be coming up with a third of that 8,250, which is under, I think that would be under $2,800. The principal and interest payment, $1,351, estimated tax, $343, homeowners insurance estimated at $229, mortgage insurance at $233, total payment $2,100. The average rent in Broward County was around $2,200 the last time I checked. So this kind of gives you an idea of what the average person is going to be getting. The board's statistical information that I saw at the end of December said that rents on average were going up around 3% per year. So obviously, if you are selling to first-time home buyers and they're a little concerned about the payment, you can explain to them, hey, if you buy the house, whatever the payment is, it's never going to go up. But if you continue to rent, there's a high likelihood that, you know, you might be paying, you know, $2,200 this year, but next year it's probably going to go to $2,250, and the year after that it's going to go to $23. So these are definitely conversations that you need to be having with your clients. Okay, this next slide. This is based on a little bit more income. This is the same program, the 2% power purchase program, but this is the people that are up in Palm Beach where the area median income limit on the income is higher. It's at $64,000. Okay.
Chris,
so
we have a question.
Yes, sir.
On these programs, are interest rates higher than they typically would be on an FHA or conventional loan?
Yes, they are. That's how they're giving them the money away. Okay.
Gotcha.
They are.
How much higher?
What's
the difference? Is it 1 point,
it
2
depends.
points?
Like on the FHA product, it's a half of a point right now. So it's not that big of a deal. On the conventional one, it varies. It's like a point and a half. But even with them paying a higher interest rate, when I went through and I did the math, even with them paying, let's say it's a point and a half higher than the norm. So let's say that the rate, let's say the normal rate is at 4, but on this deal it's at 5.5. Even with the increase in that monthly payment, it's still cheaper than the rent. And they're locked into that payment. And the main thing, and this is what you got to sell your clients on, is they're building equity. And I've got a slide that really shows that graphic information that'll hit home and make this very easy for you to sell.
Cool.
But here we go.
We'll keep going.
On the Palm Beach product, they can get a house up to $340,000. Okay, and that payment down at the bottom, $2,667. All right. Go to the next slide. This one is on the conventional product where they're giving them the full amount of the down payment. So based on income limits of the $51,680 in Broward and Miami, and assuming they had no other debt, no car payments, no student loans, anything like that, and getting the full 3%, on this one, it's at $255,000, and the payment's $2,152. All right. Here's the full 3%, but this is on the one that's in Palm Beach County where the area median income is slightly higher at $64,240 in income they allow. On that one, they can get a loan of $317,000. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, this is the one for the FHA product. And what I'll tell you is on the FHA product, it allows for the most relaxation with regards to the income, the most relaxation with regards to the debt ratio. It has higher income amounts because they're allowing us to go to 140% of the area median income. So if you recall on the other two products, that income limit was around 52,000, just a little under 52,000. On this one in Miami, we're at 76,000 in income, and based on that, not only will you qualify for the largest loan that the county allows, because as you guys are all aware, FHA has loan limits, and those loan limits are set by individual counties, and that amount is adjusted every year in January. So in Miami, Broward, and Palm Beach County, the maximum net FHA loan is $373,750. So based on the income limits in all 3 counties, any one of your borrowers could, in actuality, max out the loan amount at that $373,750. So if you look at the slide, you see where I've got the sale price at $387, and then it says the total loan amount is $379. Well, you'll notice that $379 is higher than the FHA limit. But here's the reason for that. That $373 is the net loan amount. So as you guys are all aware, on every FHA loan, there are 2 types of mortgage insurance premiums. There is a one-time upfront mortgage insurance premium equal to 1.75% of the loan, and then there's that monthly amount that's added in as well. So, but when they add in that one-time upfront mortgage insurance premium of the 1.75, that's what is known as the gross loan amount. And what they use is they go off of the net, that $373. So in this example, that $379,990 in the total loan amount, that's the loan amount adding in or on top of the deal that 1.75% one-time mortgage insurance premium. So if you look at this deal, the down payment amount is $13,545, and none of that is coming from the buyer. That's all coming from the underwriter. Principal and interest payment, $2,157. Estimated taxes, $483. Homeowner's insurance, $322. Mortgage insurance, $262. The all-in payment is $3,200. All right, let's go to the next slide. So my current rent is this. How much would that buy of a particular property? What's the trade-off? So if somebody is spending $1,000 a month in rent on the FHA product, which has the more relaxed of the 3, that is the equivalent of a $120,000 house. If they're paying $1,500 a month in rent, it's the equivalent of a $180,000 house. If you go down to the $2,250, the average rent is around $2,200, so that's the equivalent of a $270,000 house. Jonathan, really quick, what's 3% realtor commission on $270,000? Can you do that math for me?
8,100. Sorry, I was muted.
Okay, so $8,100 in commission, and your buyer doesn't have to come to the table with anything. Okay, so these, this would be a slide that I might want to take a snapshot of, put it in my favorites, so when you're out and about and you run into somebody and they say, yeah, I'm paying $1,500 a month in rent, you can quickly go, okay, well, I can buy a $180,000 house for that same payment. So this is something that you guys might want to take a snap of and keep it in your cell phone so that when you're having conversations with people, when you run into them, you can quickly give them what that equals. Okay, so here's just a financing scenario on the within reach FHA product where they can get up to 6%. So in this example, the sale price is $387,000. So the loan amount after the down payment, reducing out the down payment, and then adding back in that one-time FHA mortgage insurance premium equal to the 1.75. The actual loan amount is $379,900. All right, so we're going to give them 6% of that loan amount. All right, so we're looking at $22,799. That's the total amount of money that would be on that silent second mortgage that has no payment and is not being charged any interest. All right, and the FHA down payment requirement is 3.5%, which is $13,545. Then our compensation is equal to 2%, which is $75.99. And then there's 0.5% that's left over that the client would have access to. But then you can also negotiate up to 6% in seller concessions to cover closing costs and setting up of the escrow account. So in this particular example, if you as a superior agent could negotiate some seller concessions, your buyer comes to the table with no money in the deal at all. Right now, the market, from the people that I've talked to, is shifting more over to maybe a buyer's market. So you should have a little bit easier time of negotiating the seller concessions at this point. So here's the big question that I get thrown at, and I just want to hit you guys right over the head with it. That rate seems a little high. Should I tell my buyer to wait till they've saved up the money for the down payment? All right. So in my opinion, the answer to that question is definitely no. You don't want to tell them, well, you know, if you don't want that 5.5% interest rate and you'd rather have the 4 and you have absolutely no money saved up right now, yeah, let's just wait and we'll wait for you to save up that $23,000. That's probably not going to be in the best interest of the buyer. All right. So this next slide shows you how many months it would take somebody to save up that 6% that we're going to give them. So if they were able to save $300 a month, it would take them 76 months to save up that $22,900. If they could save $400 a month, it would take them 57 months. If they could, even if they could save $1,000 a month, it's going to take them 23 months, almost 2 years to save up the money for the down payment. Okay, that's a long time. And let's look at the board stats. And this is where I want to drive this home to you guys. The main thing that I want you guys to look at December 2018, median sale price. And this is single family homes in Broward County. The average single family house was going for $350,000. 12 months later, December of 2019, the average house was going for $380,000. If your knucklehead clients want to stop and wait and try to save the money on their own, in this example, which is legitimate numbers coming directly from the board, they lost out on $30,000 in equity. This is where you as the professional need to educate your buyers and tell them, yeah, you're going to have to bite the dust and you're going to have to give up a little bit of something on the rate, and maybe the payment's a little bit higher than it would have been normally, but look what you're going to pick up on the back end. Look at the equity that you could possibly have. Now, go down 2 more columns down on that chart where it says percentage of original list price received. So in December 2018, it was 95%. December 2019, it was 4%, where it says 96. Basically what that means, guys, is if a house was selling listed on the MLS for $100,000, the average person was ending up accepting $96,000. In other words, they were given a 4% discount. All right. So when I tell you it should be fairly easy for you guys to obtain at least 4% in seller concessions, I'm telling you that this chart bears that out. But the way that you want to negotiate that, and I've heard Jonathan tell people this 1,000 times, is, you know, you go to them, you negotiate with the other side, and you say, okay, your house is up for sale for $100,000. Will your seller accept $96,000? The guy says, yes, I will accept the $96,000. Okay, perfect. I'm going to send you the offer over in writing in an hour. When you get it, call me back and we'll finalize everything. So when you send the offer over, you send the offer over at the full price at $100,000 with 4% in seller concessions so that they net what you've already negotiated. So this,
Chris, question for you.
Yes, sir.
If someone secures one of these and would like to refinance, is there time limitations or additional expenses as to refinancing a loan out of these programs?
Yes. So on the first one, the FHA Within Reach, they have to keep it for 61 months or they have to pay back that $22,000. All right. So
that's like 5 years? That's
5 years, 61 months. They have to keep it. They can't sell it. They can't refinance it within that 5. I mean, that basically that gives the underwriter time to recoup the $23,000 that they've just given away. Okay. If the guy ends up getting this loan and then ends up selling it in a year, he's got to pay back that full $22,000. If he pays it off in 59 months, he's got to pay back that full $22,000. Okay. On the within reach conventional, it's just a 3-year period of time. And then on the third product, the one where it is just a 2% grant that's immediately forgiven at the time of closing. On that one, they can refinance it anytime they want. But on the first two, there is a restriction on when they can refinance or sell the home without having to pay back the money. Okay? Hope that answers that question. So in conclusion, and we're getting ready to wrap up here, there are no more excuses. Okay? The two biggest reasons why people put off buying a home is A, they need to work on their credit, and B, they don't have enough money for the down payment and closing costs. We are going to help rescue your clients with regards to the two biggest reasons why people say they won't buy. We are great at doing credit score boosting. We are great with our third-party vendor that does credit repair and disputes, negative trade lines. And now we have these three products that either offer a low down payment or no down payment. All right. What you need to be doing is explaining to your clients that buying is smarter and cheaper than renting, that we have tons of opportunity in Broward County. I looked it up. We have over 16,000 rentals in Broward County alone. That doesn't even count Miami or Palm Beach. The average credit score for somebody in the state of Florida is 668. So the majority of your clients are going to qualify for one of these three programs. All right. Here's the deal. Most people are not aware of these programs. So therefore, your role is to educate every person that you come into contact with. When you have listings, you need to be advertising that there is down payment assistance on this particular property. When you are inputting in information in the MLS and there's a comment area in there, you know, you can put in there, hey, down payment assistance is a possibility on this property. Plus you use our lender, he's going to cover the cost of the appraisal up to $600. All right. Marketing ideas, and you guys can get with Jonathan and he'll probably have 1,000 more ideas than what I could come up with. But here's some ideas. Start holding first-time home buyer classes, and I can come in and cover you and help you on those as well. We can do it at Jonathan's office. We can do it at my office. We can do it at libraries. We can do it wherever. Make sure you're putting this information out on your Facebook, obviously on all your listings. I suggest you do mailers to apartment complexes, all your contacts in your phone, all your contacts in your CRM. Throw a car magnet on your car, handouts in neighborhoods, parking lots. Use your LinkedIn, your websites, and the biggest thing is your word of mouth. Just everybody that you come into contact with.
These are really good marketing messages. These are really good marketing messages to put out onto Facebook ads, flyers, things like that. It's very attractive and all-encompassing when you talk about buy a house with zero down, or ask me about buying a house with no money down, something like that. And you can put them through these programs and see if they qualify. It's a great buyer lead generation. Chris, I have another question here for you. Are any of these loans assumable?
The FHA product is.
Okay, thank you. But the conventional one was not.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And if anybody wants a copy of the presentation, just to go back through it, I know I went through it kind of quickly, just email me, and my email address is ceggleton@amprefi.com, and I'd be happy to send you a copy of the presentation. I know that I talked to somebody this past week who does Facebook ads, and I think she told me she was paying less than $1.50 per lead using Facebook. And once again, Jonathan is a good source of information with regards to doing something like that. But this particular agent had, she sent me in 3 leads this week. So just to let you guys know, that's something that you might want to start doing. Here's the other thing. I've got
them down to about 85 cents per cost per click on Facebook ads with the different tests that we're running. Look for some more classes. For those of you that are in here, look for some more remote classes, some webinar classes. I'm going to be doing different tiers of marketing and Facebook advertising classes to try and get some more knowledge out to you guys in the short term while you're home and you can set all these kind of things up. So look for that stuff coming up. It'll appear on the calendar on the Sphere, and you'll get either an email or a Facebook notification about it as well.
Chris, what is the email address again?
It's ceggleton@amprefi.com.
It's in the chat. It's in the chat box if you need it written down as well.
Let's see.
And you can if you didn't get my email, just email Jonathan, and I'm sure he can forward it to me, and I'll get it to you.
ceggleton@amprefi.com.
C as in Chris, and then my last name, Eggleton, Eggleton,
Correct.
at amprefi.com.
All right. Got it.
All right, and to the best of my knowledge, we're the only lender in town that has this program. So this will definitely give you an advantage over your competition because, you know, if they're dealing with a RE/MAX agent, a Caldwell Banker agent, they don't have access to this stuff. So this is going to give you guys a leg up.
Oh, here it is. Okay.
All right, guys, thank you so much. If anybody has any questions, feel free to call me on my cell phone. I'm available all day today.
All right, great.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. Thanks, Jonathan.